Good morning, Wolfman fans. How are you guys doing? Welcome to another video. This one on schedule for a Saturday. Probably a little bit earlier posting than normal, but that's because it's about a little after 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm actually awake. The reason for that is because normally I'd put these videos out somewhere around either afternoon or early evening. I'm awake, and I don't have a lot to do at the moment, so I figured let's get a jump on this. I got my coffee, sitting here at the computer, just kind of looking at some news stories and stuff like that. What I wanted to talk about today, well, we'll get to that in a minute. I apologize, guys, for the noise in the background. That's actually my washing machine. Everything in my house is very close proximity to each other, and that's both a blessing and a curse. Because I don't go very far if I'm like watching TV or something and I got to go to the fridge to get like a soda or a beer or something like that. I don't got to go very far. But at the same time, I can hear the washing machine going and the dryer. Especially if you get one of those like items that makes a lot of noise in the dryer, like a pair of jeans where the buttons and stuff are hitting everything as they're spinning. So that's what that noise is in the background. This also has to do with why I'm up as early as I am. Normally, I do try to put myself on a daytime schedule for the sake of my wife on the weekends. You guys know that I have been working nights. And it's real awkward because I work nights. My wife obviously works during the day. And so, we're on opposite schedules. What's also crazy is the fact that my days off and her days off don't correspond either. So if it wasn't for, making the effort on my weekends to be on a daytime schedule and go see her every once in a while at her work or whatever, we'd never spend any time together. Well, anyway, this morning I'm very comfortable. It always happens when you're the most comfortable. You're in your most comfortable position in the bed. You're sleeping so peacefully. You're not sleeping like super hard, but you're not like struggling to be asleep. You know what I mean? You're just perfectly comfortable and sound. And of course, she wakes me up. Why? Because she realizes she forgot her laundry, her salon laundry. What I like to call the salondry. I know that's cheesy as hell, but hey, it's unique and it's my joke. Give it to me. Anyway, so normally since she doesn't have a washer and dryer hookup at the salon, she has to bring that stuff home and wash it, which that's fine. It is what it is. But sometimes she forgets. She's in such a rush to get home or whatever the case may be that she either grabs it and forgets it in her car or just forgets to do it because it's sitting like right over here by the couch in a laundry bag and she just forgot to put it in the washer. Or like today's case, she forgot it altogether. It was still at the salon. So I had to wake my butt up and go get it and bring it back to the house and wash it. So yeah, of course I was annoyed, but what are you gonna do? There wasn't any other solution, and it wouldn't have really been any point in yelling and getting angry about it. It is what it is. So here I am, awake. I'd normally be crawling my butt out of bed probably on average, about an hour, maybe two, from where we're currently at, and it's about 10 after 8 right now. And then I'd walk around the house, scratch my ass for about 20 minutes, trying to gather my thoughts and figure out, what day it is and, what my middle name is and stuff like that. Stupid stuff, that you woke up retarded kind of thought process. That's actually, guys, that's like my MO on the weekends. Sleep as long as I can, as hard as I can, to where I wake up completely retarded. That's kind of, it's funny, but it's kind of true. I spend about that whole time walking around the house, running into walls and stuff because my body is not functioning properly. But today didn't work that way. I'm up, I'm dressed, I've got my coffee, and now I'm sitting here talking to you lovely people. But anyway, I didn't want to just roll on about my day. This has already gone on way too long. So today, what I wanted to talk about is, man, it's kind of a hodgepodge of subjects that all kind of simultaneously deal with each other and with children, okay? And the subjects are, I want to talk about education, I want to talk about children in general, and I want to talk about modern social movements and how we're pushing them on children. I guess I could just throw all those into one big category, one big pile, and it would be fine. But I'm gonna go ahead and go get on into this. You guys see where I'm going with it. Look, kids are, I would argue, one of our most precious assets in this world. The kids are literally the future. I always hated hearing that, by the way, and I don't know if any guys out there are like I am. You hate hearing, well, the children are our future. Those are the people who are going to be the future leaders of our nation. Yeah, and as much cliche as that sounds, and as much as we hate hearing that stuff, I hated hearing that when I was a kid. It's a lot of pressure, but it's nonetheless true. And right now, the problem we're having is that the educational system is not geared towards building up intelligent people. It's building up people who blindly follow and do what they're told. Granted, when we went to school, there was, and even, I went to school, I graduated high school in 2004. So, I don't consider myself that old, and I don't consider it that long ago. I guess it was almost 20 years ago, that most of my schooling happened, but, before me as well, school was different back then. Yes, it was structured, it was organized, because we needed, as children who we're generally fairly scatterbrained, and easily distracted, we needed structure, we needed discipline, but we also had to be taught certain lessons. There was certain information, certain knowledge that we needed that were the building blocks of everything else we would ever learn throughout our lives. And, because there wasn't any way they were going to be able to teach us absolutely everything in the world. On occasion, you'd ask your teacher, about a certain thing that you were curious about, and it kind of related to the subject you were on, and she'd give you a little bit deeper insight based on her own knowledge, or his or her own knowledge. Okay, but that wasn't really necessarily the curriculum. You weren't going to learn a lot of advanced stuff. That knowledge would come later. So what you were learning in school is the basic fundamentals of the knowledge that you would need in life. And some of it, you can argue whether you needed it or not. I always thought it was funny that how we as kids, how a lot of people as kids, looked at history like it was completely unnecessary. Like it wasn't, like what's the point? It's boring, it's something that happened in the past, we should be able to move on from that. This is ridiculous. I thought this, and honestly, I thought something similar towards was it English class. You did all the sentence structure and grammar and all that stuff and spelling. And we always thought to each other, we speak English. Why do we take this class? This is ridiculous. I think it's funny how we're all eating our own words now on that one. People don't know history, so they see a statue of an old white guy from back in the Confederacy. That's what they see. A slave-owning white man. A rich slave-owning white man. So they just want to tear it down. They don't understand any importance of this particular monument to this individual. They don't understand the importance of history. They don't care. They want it erased. But then again, you know, a people who has no history also have no future. That's honestly, I'm scared that's where we're headed. And as far as the English language one, oh man, I understand now why it was so important back then. A lot of fools like me weren't paying attention, sleeping through class, and were just blowing it off like it was just nonsense. And well, look where we've got ourselves. We got the ever present and nonstop argument about there and which one's correct. You know, people can't spell, can't talk properly. I've even had a couple of friends of mine, they'd post something on Facebook and I'm looking at them going, what? And I'd have to make a reply post going, dude, was that even English? I didn't understand a word you said. And it's hysterical because it's common English. It's our native tongue. We should have no problem speaking this tongue, but instead we're speaking it like a foreigner who picked up a, English language phrase book on his way at the airport coming in from an international flight for the first time. And it's sad. It really is. Why is this? And where am I going with this with kids? Okay, well, kids nowadays are more and more, well, I wouldn't say they're any more rebellious than we were. Just the version of rebelliousness is quite a bit different than it was when we were kids, or even, when our parents were kids, or so on and so forth. The version of rebelliousness, it's a lot more technologically advanced, if you will. It involves, cell phones and Twitter, TikTok now, Instagram. That's where everything happens. So it all revolves around that. And, if you can become a big Twitch streamer nowadays, you can earn a lot of money. So what do you need school for? Who cares? YouTube's the same way. If you can do something on YouTube that's advertiser friendly, my content, even though I've applied for the, AdSense and all that, my content probably isn't considered advertiser friendly, and I probably will never make money off these videos. Fine, whatever. I have a stable full-time job. I can pay for my own junk. But, there was a story about a girl who, I guess her Instagram account got canceled. It got shut down. And she was freaking out because she'd actually have to go get a job. And as far as she was concerned, she was not cut out for that kind of life, for a working life. And she was nothing without her followers. It was like her life was ruined. And that astonished me, is that there's people like that. Going back to children, this is how kids are coming up. And what's worse is we're kind of letting it happen. We're letting them be this rebellious, have this rebellious attitude, and we're just caving into it. And schools aren't, their curriculum isn't for crap anymore. I think, and granted, I'm not in school, okay? But I have heard secondhand stories of how history isn't focused on very much, and what history is looked at is kind of half-assed. It's not whole. It's half truths. It's not a big focus anymore. Math, the whole Common Core math thing, which thank God for our sake, it seems like Common Core math is falling out of use, because finally some people are going, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. So let's hope they bring back multiplication tables and we're good to go. But what scares me most isn't so much the education part of it, as far as, math, science, history, whatever. It's the indoctrination, the political and social indoctrination of children. There's been a lot of instances of teachers who pushing their political ideologies on children, by having pop quizzes that'll ask questions about Trump versus Obama, stuff like that. And there's parents who are rightfully getting outraged over this. They're, if you're a teacher, especially for students, if you're not like a political teacher, even a political teacher, if you're a teacher at all, you need to be biased or non-biased. Excuse me. You need to be completely non-biased. You need to have even if you have a bias one way or another, you need to force yourself to stay middle of the road. Teach the facts as they are. And then it's up to the students to decide which side of the aisle they fall on. That's their job. Your job is to just teach the information. Regardless of how you feel about Trump or Obama or Hillary or who the flip ever. Other than that, if you're walking into a classroom with a bunch of young, impressionable minds and spouting off your political opinions and political beliefs, you're a shitty teacher. And you should be fired. That's my wholehearted belief, my wholehearted opinion. I understand sometimes it's hard to read and present facts that you don't necessarily agree with. Now, I'll put a caveat to all this and say, look, you can say this is the fact. I don't personally agree with it, but the decision is yours. But you shouldn't focus your whole class on your side of your opinion, because the class isn't teacher's opinion, political opinions 101. It's political science. So that means the whole wide spectrum. Okay. Secondly, look, if these children are, I don't know. I'm going to leave that. That's a question for the day. What's the appropriate age? What do you think is the appropriate age to start sex ed? There's always been, even since I was a kid, there's always been a lot of debate on what was the appropriate age to start sex education for kids. It's always changing. I think we got some as early as sixth grade, maybe. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But if I remember right, it was elementary school that we got our first inkling of that. But what's in your opinion the appropriate age to do it? My problem is again, you're not teaching the facts. You're teaching some opinion. And the fact that they're teaching kids as young as kindergarten, as young as kindergarten, and actually in some cases earlier than that, because the parents are doing the teaching, because parents raise kids. It doesn't matter if it's shitty or not, parents are trying to raise their kids. Some of them are teaching their children that maybe they're not a boy, maybe they're a girl. I'm sorry, I had a notification pop up on my phone. Maybe you're not a boy, maybe you're a boy, maybe you're not a girl. Give me 1 second. Just enjoy the sounds of the washing machine. Plugging in the phone because it's about to die because I didn't charge it like a moron. Let's see here. Alright. Again, I'm sorry about that. I have one of those 10-foot charging cables. So I got this thing stretched across the room. It's pretty awesome. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Teaching these children this transgender, this gender identity politics is ridiculous. And it's wrong. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the case of James Younger. I think it's James Younger. I'm going to kind of Google that real quick to make sure I'm not an asshole and telling you the wrong information. Yeah. Yep, there it is. James Younger. Okay. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the story, and if you're not, I'll kind of give you a brief synopsis. James Younger, his father and mother are divorced, and there's been some issues here. Primarily, the issue is that joint custody. The mother dresses the boy, who's 7 years old, by the way, dresses him in a dress, paints his fingernails, puts glitter in his hair and stuff like that, does makeup and stuff, calls him Luna, and has him registered at his school as Luna, and even sends him to school in a dress and everything. Now, the only reasoning for this is the boy says, "Well, I like girls." He didn't say, I want to be a girl. He says, "I like girls." Now, how do we know this? Because there's actually a video that was put out by the father that actually the kid says this, "I like girls." And I guess to the son, that's the only reasoning his mother does this. But according to the father, in his testimony, when his son is with him, he likes wearing boy clothes, doing boy things, and he goes by his name, James. He doesn't go by any other name, and that's how he likes it. So it's been hotly contested, and recently it has been decided. I don't know if it's completely. I don't know if it's completely over yet, but it's being decided really that the mother's going to get custody, full custody, and the father is going to have to be forced to recognize his son as a girl. This is sickening, guys. And the next step is allowing the mother to start hormone treatment. And the mother is a psychologist, by the way, or psychiatrist, therapist, something of that nature. And by the way, the clinic she works for, and I don't remember her name. I actually saw this I watched Louder with Crowder, so shameless plug for him. They actually checked into his mother, and they found reviews for the clinic for her specifically at 1 star. Somebody talking to her about her kid, and like the immediate go-to for her was transgender. This woman is one of these weird people who is obsessed with the whole transgender movement. Why? And she's so much so she's wanting to push her son into it. Why are we so obsessed with the transgender movement? I personally believe that there's 2 reasons. One is because people can't live without a cause. It's like some people have an eating disorder, and it's a psychological thing. They feel they need to continuously eat, or maybe they're too thin, or whatever the case may be. But there are some people who can't live without some kind of a cause. Their life is meaningless. So in this case, that they've latched themselves on to what is the only tangible cause that's out there. They're not creating a new cause that could be genuinely helpful to the world, or at the very least their community. No, their cause is something that they grappled onto that's already existing, which is one of the, take your pick of the various left-wing causes, and transgender seems to be one of the most controversial. So it's going to naturally attract some, the most people to it. All right. The second one, and this is my opinion, people want to feel special. This is a day and age where we've done everything we can to make people realize that they're not necessarily special. They're just, every day is a normal day, and you are a part of a normal society. You go to work, you come home, whatever, and there's a normal way to live life. Now there's this huge pushback to not have to live a normal life, to be wild and crazy and different and special. And there's parents who have fallen into a normal life that are trying to push that special life on their children. And then by proxy, the parent is special. This is my personal opinion. This is my belief. I don't know how you guys feel about that. You can debate me on that if you want. And I'm willing to listen. You're not special. Your child, if he was born with a penis, is a boy, not a girl. I don't care how much you, the parent, who has a degree in psychology or what the F ever, I don't care what y'all say, he's still a boy. And at 7 years old, your son or daughter, whichever, has not the cognitive abilities to understand what that means if you tell them they're transgender. They understand very simple stuff, and it's a very basic understanding that most people have. If they have a penis, they're a boy. If they don't, they're a girl. And it's very simple. And then, yes, there are cases when children play with, like little boys will play with Barbies, whatever reason. They're little girls that like to play with, army men and stuff like that, whatever reason. It's not always going to be so black and white, or in this case, pink or blue. It's not going to always be that way. When I was a little kid, and I mean really little, there was a cousin of mine that had like this little toy purse, and it had makeup, like a toy lipstick and stuff like that in it. And this is y'all are gonna laugh at this. This sounds ridiculous, but I used to play with that, and I put on the makeup and everything. Why did I do that? I think if I'm not, I'm just trying to spitball here. I think it just seemed like an adult thing to do. Because I saw my mom do it, all the women in my life, they always use makeup, and it was always just something adults did. And if I thought, I don't know what guys did, I'm trying to think back to what I would have done back then for a man, and I'm sure I played as if I was driving a car or working on a car or something. I just played doing things adults did. And as I grew up, I started I realized the differences, and I realized, I'm a guy. I'm going to do guy stuff. I'm not going to do women's stuff. But that was my choice, obviously. And as these kids grow up, if they're playing with Barbies as a little kid and they grow up deciding they want to, wear women's clothes and maybe design women's clothes, whatever the case may be, that's their choice. But as an adult, as their own person, you don't, as the adult, get to decide the gender of your child like it's some warning alert. This is a fucking lie. It's not a societal construct. Gender and sex, they're like, oh, they're two different things. Gender is made up by society. No, it is not. And if you say that much, then what is sex? Is there still only two sexes, or are there multiple sexes? That is not clearly defined by these people. Or at least, maybe they think that there are two sexes, male and female, but there are multiple genders and they can be whatever. I still don't understand. I don't understand the logic and how that all lines up. But what in the hell? There ain't two different, okay? Gender and sex. They're synonyms, you moron. One is just a more clean and technical term than the other. Like most things. Like saying toilet or latrine. It's kind of the same thing. Just one is a more harsh version. Most words in the English language come from either a French Latin root or a Germanic root. And typically the Germanic root is a little more short, harsh, dirty sounding, whatever, ugly sounding, whatever you call it. And the French is typically a little bit nicer, a little bit more technical sounding. That's why a lot of your medical diagnoses end up with these Latin sounding names, because they're more technical, and that's just how it is. So you need to understand that and stop pushing on your vulnerable children this idea that, well, maybe you're just a girl. And then forcing that child to wear dresses. Look, I don't know, man. When I was in school, man, if we saw a kid coming to school, a boy wearing makeup and a dress, he would have gotten made fun of relentlessly. Can you imagine how this boy, I don't know if it's any different nowadays, but how he's going to grow up being damaged, just scarred from that. This is child abuse. And there's a court out there that's allowing it to happen. Thank God that Greg Abbott is doing everything he can to, at the same time, not infringe upon people's rights, but try to put a stop to it. Thank God for that. There's an individual out there who's trying to pass a law in the Texas legislature to where you're not allowed to put children under the age of 18 on any kind of hormone blockers, anything like that. Yeah, they can wear a dress and identify as a girl, or vice versa, whatever you say, but they aren't going to do any kind of like puberty blockers, any hormone replacement therapy, anything like that, because they're minors. Thank God. Let's hope that passes. Let's hope and pray for that. Honestly, I personally believe that any man or woman who has a child and takes that child and tells them that they are a boy if they're a girl, and makes them dress as a boy. You guys remember Sleepaway Camp? Remember how fucked up that kid grew up in that movie? Guys, if you haven't seen Sleepaway Camp, I suggest you go watch it. It's a good... It really kind of illustrates what I'm talking about right now. And make your boy grow up as a girl. You know, if he didn't have a mental disorder before, you're going to create one. And that's straight up child abuse. And you need to be locked away for a very long time. That's my personal opinion on the matter. It may not be a popular one, but it's my opinion. By the way, that's the end of this video. I'm done ranting because there's not much more I can say without repeating myself. That's the end of this video. By the way, this is a 2 for videos today on this Saturday because I feel like making another video and I got something to talk about and something I want to tell you about. So this will be much the same format as this one. Same location, same outfit, whatever. But it's going to be a history video, not the long fabled one that I keep talking about that I'm going to eventually finish one of these days, some glorious day. But this is just a random history video because I want to teach you a little bit something more about myself and how I fall into history. But and if that sounds a little conceited, fine. But it's my channel. I'm going to talk about myself if I want to. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, or at least found it interesting, and I hope you guys find something to discuss. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree and what you think. As always, you guys keep your head on a swivel, stay awesome, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.